Alright guys, let's check it out. The brand new Diablo Endgame video that just got released. Here's my thoughts and reactions to it. Ooh, that was Andariel, I think. I think that's Andariel.
I'm really excited about getting this game into players' hands and letting them experience this massive world.
The main cornerstone of D4 is play your way. As a player continues to advance through the story and into the endgame, they'll unlock a ton of brand new activities that provide meaningful progression, no matter their playstyle.
Players will be able to keep progressing in the narrative of the game. Alongside that, the whole team has worked on crafting a variety of different experiences players can pursue.
We're going to have an entire world of Sanctuary for our players to offer. There's going to never be an absence of something to do.
After the player has finished the campaign, there's a lot more game to go and participate in. They gain access to a special, what we call capstone dungeon that they have to complete. Once they're able to finish this capstone dungeon, they're going to gain access to the first world tier.
As you complete the world tier, it will open up the opportunity for you to go into your next world tier. That involves unlocking powerful loot, new items, and more advantages for your player to have a better opportunity at end game.
Whether you're a fan of dungeons, PvP, or just roaming around the world, there's a way to continue your Diablo adventure long after hitting max level.
Okay.
As your character continues to grow in power, you'll start with the skill tree and expand out into the Paragon system.
A lot of the choices the players make are grounded on skills themselves and the fantasies associated with those skills. Paragon boards.
Okay, hold on. Okay, we gotta pause this just for a second here. So, okay, my face isn't really blocking anything, but just for the sake of clarity here, we have 146 Paragon points. As far as I'm aware of, once you hit level 50, which is where Paragon unlocks, you get 4 points per level, but there's maybe other ways to unlock Paragon points via some of like these zones unlocking just like you would with skill points. I'm not sure if that's going to be the case with it, but at least we know about how many points we should have at some point.
A lot more depth, a lot
okay,
more
that was a legendary. We gotta read these legendary nodes because this is the most important part. Okay, it was called Cheap Shot. Sorry, it's like kind of hard to pause at the exact same frame because they literally give us like one frame of this. So let's slow it down. We gotta see these effects. Okay, there we go. This is what we want. Legendary node Cheap Shot. You deal 5% increased damage for each nearby enemy that is crowd controlled up to 25%. Okay, so this is some criticism for the game in terms of its Paragon board, which I've been talking about, is I want some crazier legendary nodes, not numerical changes, so hopefully there will be them, and I know that you can socket things in here with these things called glyphs, which I'm going to move my face out of the way. You could put these in their Paragon board where there is a socket, and they can have different effects based on the main stat, like strength, int, willpower, dexterity. But you're going to have to use your points, and you have to maybe place them adjacent. It's actually a pretty cool system. If you played PoE, think of it kind of like a jewel that has like in X amount of radius. Okay, let's go back to like normal speed, and let's continue here because this is the most important part.
A lot more depth, a lot more customization, many more options as you go.
You can rotate the board, so you can choose a different path if you're like, I want to do more strength-based things, or I want these particular boons or...
Okay, so let me actually explain this also, because I don't think it was explained here. So basically how the Paragon system works is you'll start at the very bottom of the gate, and you'll work your way up. Once you get to another gate, you can attach a separate Paragon board to it. And there are multiple different Paragon boards. I'm not sure if they're going to be locked per class, or if they're just basically all characters can have them. But that's something, of course, that we will check out.
You can chart your path through it, and
so most of it's just numerical stats,
and making it uniquely yours.
Similar to the Paragon boards is the Codex of Power. It's an in-game system that holds the aspects related to the character.
This we've already seen in the beta.
Dungeon, and they will have a chance to drop an aspect that you can pick up.
And what this allows players to do is take items they're finding in the world and make them more powerful, turn them into legendary items.
It's really special to discover what kind of playstyle really means the most to you.
The Nightmare Dungeons. Okay, cool.
Every part of Sanctuary is fulfilling and satisfying. Dungeons in particular are really close to my heart. Nightmare Dungeons are going to give the players the opportunity to experience a dungeon that they might have already experienced in their past playthroughs. They'll enter the dungeon with a found sigil that alters the playstyle and the intensity of the dungeon.
They're more difficult, and they have additional objectives, and then they also have affixes, which add a degree of difficulty for you and your group to work through.
One of my favorite affixes that you can find in Nightmare Dungeons is actually called Hellgate. Occasionally, these portals will open up throughout the area that will just pour out different monsters that aren't native to that region for you to also be dealing with while you're trying to handle everything else inside the dungeon. There's over 120 dungeons to play through and find in Diablo 4, and any one of them can become a nightmare dungeon by finding a nightmare sigil and then using it to activate the nightmare version of that dungeon space.
Everything's a little darker, everything's more difficult. It's going to add a little bit of a twist of flavor on your particular dungeon.
Exploration. Okay.
There's some targeted activities in Diablo 4 that suit what you're feeling in the mood for.
The Forces of Hell are starting to have more influence in certain parts of Sanctuary in the vast interconnected overworld of the experience. And as the players are going into Helltide areas, you're going to find even more powerful monsters. And by killing them, they'll be able to gain these special shards they can take to go and use to purchase these big rewards that are available at these caches that are found littered throughout Helltide areas.
The sky darkens and the rivers run red, meteors fall from the sky, and the monsters get harder. We really want to create new experiences for the players. There's one I really like called Whispers of the Dead, which you get from the Tree of Whispers. The Tree of Whispers is grim and a little gruesome, but it's also something mystically haunting and kind of beautiful.
The tree has a little bit of a grudge against our players, and it would like for them to go serve.
Okay, so it says the Festering Burrow +1, and I believe how this works is, if you remember Diablo 3's bounty system, you'd have to do basically all the bounties, and then you get some sort of reward. I believe this is the exact same system, although certain quest lines and certain, like, I guess, objectives will yield more points than others, but you can see that there's a bar, it fills up over
So you're
here.
going to go serve these bounties, gather different rewards, different items, and bring them back to the tree in hopes that it can exchange you something really meaningful.
Okay,
Maybe
cool.
you're gonna-
So this is what you can get for your reward. So it's a collection of, you can kind of hone in on one specific thing, and I'm guessing you're going to get probably legendaries, maybe some obols off of it. Let's see if they show it off.
Fractured Peaks and take out some werewolves that are rampaging in a town. They're contained activities that you can do alone.
Let's see if we can see anything here. So one thing that they haven't really talked about here, which is this, it says PvP event. It's kind of cut off at the top here, but we can see indeed that these are the shards that you can get in the game. They're different than the regular blood shards like in D3. These are for PvP, and as far as I'm aware of, they haven't changed their stance. This is just for cosmetics, so if you don't want to participate in PvP, don't worry. But it's kind of like this open grounds here where you're going to be able to be like free for all, and if you kill them, they drop these unless they are purified. Let's see if they explain it.
We really wanted to create variety for people to be able to spend time where they wanted to in the world. It's very cool the way it's been put together, and I can't wait for people to see it, to be honest.
The Fields of Hatred.
In Diablo 4, we have a focus on the world of Sanctuary. And there are parts of that world that we call the Fields of Hatred, where Lilith's presence in Sanctuary has begun to seep through and manifest these poisonous areas throughout the world. When players go to these regions, they get to engage in player versus player conflict.
These offer opportunities for the player to collect shards, but there is a little bit of a catch. In order to get these shards back to town, you will need to purify them.
Okay, this is
Other
what I was
players
talking about.
definitely know that you're attempting to purify your shards, so you'd better be prepared to fight if you're going to be playing any PvP, and be prepared that you might lose some stuff in the meantime.
Once they've got the
Okay,
purified shards,
what they mean by lose stuff, as far as I'm aware, you don't drop your gear or anything that you picked up along the way. It's just the blood shards that you get. So that's what I believe drops.
take these, go back to nearby towns to sell them, and then use that to buy a whole bunch of like
Let's see if there's any changes here that are new. So you can see there's gloves. It says that there's a question mark. Now, as far as I'm aware of, there are different skins that you can get that are for this sort of mechanic, but as far as like, you know, an OP item or any like other legendaries or uniques, and checking out the level over here, this is a level 75 character, and you can see how much stats that they actually have in terms of like they have open sockets over here. You can see there's 2 sockets there. Okay, I'm checking to see if there's any like big noticeable changes from the beta that might have been just shown off over here that weren't in the previous one. But if any of you guys notice anything different from the interface, definitely let me know. There is the mount system. Looks like we have 1, 2, 3 different mount abilities. As far as I'm aware of, you could just use your, like, it had like an ultimate ability to dismount, but now it looks like we have, I'm not sure what these mount abilities are. I'm guessing one of them is like a speed, maybe a jump. But let's continue.
It's a place for people who really love PvP and want to still get loot and still increase their character's power. If that's the way they want to play, they can.
Only the
Launch
beginning.
is just the beginning. One of the things we're really focused on is creating a living, breathing set of updates for players to engage with after the game has gone live.
It's really just going to be a way to keep coming back and experiencing more Diablo 4 in fresh ways.
We're really eager to hear all of your experiences and just enjoy the entire story with you all.
Oh, I don't think we saw that world boss yet. That might be a new world boss. Okay, what I've noticed that was a little bit different here in terms of like, you know, what did I learn? I saw there was some sort of like artwork for Undaria, but I want to like pause on Undaria because that definitely looked like it was Undaria. Maybe it's, let's see. Because I know in Diablo 2, wasn't there like Lilith? That definitely looks like Undaria, so that's going to be cool. Maybe it's a campaign boss. I don't know. This is the first time I think I've seen this character, I believe, here. But in terms of the introduction to the endgame, there wasn't really anything too new that I personally learned. A lot of the stuff has been in blogs, but they haven't shown off maybe direct gameplay like of the Helltide, where it makes things a little bit more difficult. Like, there's another currency called, I believe it's called, like, is it Helltide Cinders? They could have mentioned that, but for the most part, it doesn't really matter too much. We'll wait and see if there's any other bigger announcements. I wish they showed the affixes. They talked about the sigils of these, like, nightmare dungeons, but they didn't show one of them off. They did show them off previously, and they were, like, these little things where you get to activate them, and they interact with the map, whether there's something. They showed off one of the little, like, portals that opens up monsters from, like, different regions, but I really want to see more in-depth with this, but at least it's some sort of, you know, showcasing off of the endgame. I'm curious to know, what do you guys think of it so far? Are you guys excited to play the endgame? I'm actually really excited about not only the campaign, but mostly the PvP. But I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. Let me know your thoughts down below. If you guys enjoyed the video, drop a like. If you're new here, subscribe, turn that bell if you want to see more Diablo content. Check the pinned comment, as there's a lot more videos to consume. And I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.